Welcome back, Geometro Ninjas. Today we're going to talk about our perpendicular lines on the coordinate plane and how to write those equations. So yesterday we talked about parallel lines, and if we have a little recap, parallel lines have a congruent slope. Well, today our perpendicular lines, okay, intersect at a perpendicular angle. Way to go, Mr. Coach. Intersect at a right angle. That's my fault. Remember, that's 90 degrees. Okay. And our slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals. So, if, for an example, if the slope of my first line is, let's say, 2/3, okay, then the opposite reciprocal of 2/3, we're going to flip the fraction. And the reason I like to use the word opposite instead of negative reciprocal is if our first slope was positive, so if you look, it was a positive 2/3. This slope, okay, to be an opposite of that is going to be negative 3/2. Okay, and if our first slope was negative, our new slope will be positive. So whatever we have, if the first slope is positive, the second slope is negative. It's the opposite. Okay, there's no really particular there's no real particular thing with our y-intercept in this one. They could be the same. They could be different. It doesn't really matter. I still haven't figured out what goes in that blank yet. But we're going to we're going to do it both ways again. We're going to go two of them using point slope form and two of them using slope intercept. So we'll start with slope intercept. Okay, so if we remember from yesterday, the first thing we want to do is is my equation, my given line, is it in slope intercept form? And it is. Okay, so the slope for this equation is positive 1/2. Okay, so my new slope, okay, parallel lines were congruent, perpendicular is opposite reciprocal. So we're just going to take that fraction, we're going to flip it over, so the 2 is going to be on top. And then it could be 2/1, but in math we don't write that over 1 because there's technically a 1 underneath everything. And then if this guy was positive, our new slope is going to be negative. Okay, so this time we're going to go slope intercept. So remember that's y equals mx plus b. And we call it slope intercept because they give us a slope and an intercept. Okay, so in our equation they gave us x, they gave us y. We're going to substitute all three numbers in and solve for b. So y is 0. Slope is -2. Our x is 1. And then plus b. So we perform our simple function. 0 equals -2 plus b. Add 2 to both sides. So b equals 2. Now we put y and x. They're going to be our constants again. So y equals our new slope plus our found y-intercept. So y equals -2x plus 2. Write a perpendicular to the line y equals -3. Okay, that's our line. The slope of that line is -3. And it's going to pass through the point 6 and 5. So this is the one we're going to do point slope on. So that'll be my x1 and y1. If my old slope is -3, my new slope, remember opposite reciprocal, so that guy was negative, so this slope will be positive. And we're going to take that 3 and trade places to get 1. So point slope form tells us y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Substitute the values we know. That is 1/3, 6, and 5. So we got y minus 5 equals 1/3 times x minus 6. Alright, now, oftentimes what's going to happen is if they give us a slope that's a fraction, it will even out for us, but sometimes we're going to have to battle fractions and just power through it. Okay, so we want to distribute our slope into both terms of our binomial. So we get y minus 5 equals 1/3 x minus 2. And for those of you wondering how I got that, 1/3 times 6 over 1, multiply straight across. 6 over 3, which is 2. So that's where our 2 came from. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So the equation of our line is y equals 1/3 x plus 7. Looks like we're going to go y equals mx plus b on this one. Okay, a line that is perpendicular to the line 2x plus 3y and equals 9 and passes through the point. Well, they did it to us. They left our equation in standard form, and we need to take that equation in standard form and make it slope-intercept so we can get the slope of our new line. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides. So we get 3y equals negative 2x plus 9. Divide everything by 3. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3, which means the slope of our given line is negative 2/3. Our perpendicular slope, okay, our new slope, is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So it's negative. Our original slope is negative, so this guy's going to be positive. And we're just going to take and we're going to flip our fraction. So instead of being 2/3, we're going 3/2. So we get y equals mx plus b. Substitute what we know. We know y is negative 1. Slope is 3 over 2. X is 6. And our intercept is our unknown. So we multiply 3/2 by 6. So we get negative 1 equals 3 times 6 is 18, divided by 2 is 9. Or you could say 3 over 2 cancels 6 to become 3 times 3, just 9. Either way, I get where we need to get to. Subtract 9 from both sides. So we get negative 10 equals b. So our equation is y equals 3 over 2 x, because now x and y are going to go back to being constants, minus 10. That's our equation. Okay. One more problem. We're going to go point slope form this time. We look at our equation, already in slope intercept, so we're good. The slope of that line is 2. So our perpendicular slope is opposite, so negative, and then take that fraction and flip it. 2 becomes negative 1/2. Y minus y1 equals slope x minus x1. Y minus 4 equals negative 1/2 x minus 2. distribute our slope into both terms of our binomial. So we get y minus 4 equals negative 1/2 x. Negative times a negative makes a positive. And half of 2 is 1. One more step. Add 4 to both sides. So y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up our lesson for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Love you guys.